Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome to this week's Ask Schellie segment. My name is Schellie Fanfan. I am your emotional intelligence expert. I have the privilege of bringing corporations to their peak performance through the provision of psychoeducation. I'm a licensed psychotherapist here in Florida, as most of you know. And so I have the purpose in life to bring people to their next level through the provision of psychoeducation and other traditional psychotherapeutic interventions. So what does that mean? That means that I provide therapy, whether it be to an individual, to couples, marriages, families, in order to get them to overcome emotional injury so that they can experience the highest quality of life, the total life prosperity that God wants each and every one of us to have. Every week, I have the opportunity to share a question that is asked of me. So for years now, I think I've been practicing like 23 years. When people hear what I do, they have questions, right? They have questions about relationships, about sex, life as a whole, purpose, right? And so I last August decided to take these questions and highlight one or maybe two every Tuesday live. And the hope is that through the feedback that I provide, that you guys can add tools to your wellness toolbox. If the shoe fits, wear it. You can share it with a family member. You can share it with a friend. You can share it right here on social media to spread the word about awareness on many, many different topics, on many, many different levels. And so I want to make this very clear, because this is not an attempt to replace the therapeutic journey. And so for people who really want to engage in therapy, in counseling to break through to their next level, there is a process. And guess what? These lives are not it. So I use the questions for educational and sometimes entertainment purposes only. But it's really hard sometimes because when I get these questions, I don't have all the answers. I don't have the opportunity to sit and deep dive with individuals who are asking, but therapy gives you the opportunity to do so. So if that is you, you can feel free to reach out to me at info@askschellie.com. You can also call our office at 407-350-5070. And guess what? It doesn't even have to be with me. You can let me know what your issues are. You can let me know what you're looking for, the type of provider that you believe that you could partner with to break through to your next level, and I will assist you in doing that. Again, email info@askschellie.com, call 407-350-5070. You can visit me at www.askschellie.com and connect with me there. So for those of you who want to start the therapeutic process, my response to that is go for it. Don't think twice. Just go ahead and go for it. There's nothing to lose. Okay? So invest in yourself. Listen, you can ignore your issues till you're no longer able to ignore your issues. You can ignore your issues until you're absolutely unable to ignore your issues. And so as a psychotherapist, on behalf of every psychotherapist, every anointed, let me rephrase, on behalf of every anointed psychotherapist, I encourage you to go ahead and make that commitment if you believe that's you. And so again, every Tuesday, I have an opportunity to share a question. And today, it is about a husband that has filed for divorce because he is not getting sex from his wife. He has absolutely had it, and he is coming to us, this community, for feedback. Let me make this clear. Yes, I'm the expert, but you guys are my consultation team. And one of the things that I have found in this journey since launching Ask Schellie Consulting is that the feedback that I get from you guys is absolutely priceless. It is so valuable. So please make sure you comment. My listeners, those who write in, they don't only listen to the video portion of it only. They are going through, they are reading those comments, and it is helping people to break through. So do not stay quiet. Instagram, comment. Over here, Facebook, YouTube, comment. I want your feedback. Also, share. How many sexless marriages are out there? How many sexless marriages are out there? Okay. And so those marriages that really suffer in terms of intimacy, which includes sex, not all encompassing of sex, but which includes sex, is extremely high. So your share is a declaration that, you know what, somebody needs to hear this. We're talking about sexless marriages, and we are coming together as a team, yes, to come against sexless marriages. We want marriages to be sex freedom. We want freedom of sex. We want great intimacy. We want husbands and wives that are down like 4 flat tires. How do we get there? How do we get that intimacy flowing? This is what today's show is all about. And if we have to do it again and again and again and again, we will do it again and again and again and again. So I have a couple of different workshops that I do as an emotional intelligence expert. And there are some that are requested more than others, okay? And so conflict resolution is one of the highest ones. That one really is requested, especially by corporations that are trying to keep their staff from beating each other up. But the one that I have on the fire zone, for married couples to turn up the heat as it relates to their intimacy is another highly requested workshop. And so this speaks a lot about the need that we have out there to assure that our husbands and our wives are experiencing the highest level of satisfaction when it comes to intimacy as a whole, and for this particular segment, sexual intimacy as well. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and read this question. Are we ready? Are we ready for this week's question? Yes. Okay. All right. Here we go. So I'm like doing my own tech. I'm getting the banners going, removing them. So listen, high five to me because I'm not really good at this stuff. Oh, I see some comments here. Hello, Sade. Hello, Lucinda. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Nanny Hookup. Thank you, Nanny Hookup, for joining in. Here we go. I need you guys to listen to the question, and I need you to comment after hearing the question. Are we ready? Say yes. All right, here we go. Dear Ask Schellie, I feel so lost and not sure who to turn to. My family believes I have absolutely lost my brain for filing for divorce from the love of my life. On the outside, our lives look so good, but on the inside, it is not so pretty. This may sound pretty basic, but our sex lives are horrible. What's so basic about that? Have we just gotten used to that just being what's so basic? That cannot be that we need to, can we put that in the abnormal column? Right? Can we put that in the abnormal column? What keeps me in business are people that normalize their abnormality. Let me say that again. What keeps me in business are people that normalize their abnormality. So, sir, that's a huge issue. Okay. And I know you probably get that from your other male counterparts, but this is a female counterpart, your female support saying that is not acceptable. It is not. Okay. Take it down a notch, Schellie. I'm going to start from the top. Dear Ask Schellie, I feel so lost and not sure who to turn to. My family believes I have absolutely lost my brain for filing for divorce from the love of my life. On the outside, our lives look so good, but on the inside, it is not so pretty. This may sound pretty basic, but our sex lives are horrible. When I seek guidance from close friends and even from church family, people generally respond like this is just a common problem for many marriages, as if I am supposed to just accept going months without any type of sexual contact with my wife. I resort to masturbation to relieve myself, which compromises my spiritual beliefs, but I do this to keep myself from having sex with someone else. I wish I can say that this started after marriage, but it didn't. My wife has never been a sexual person. Abstaining from sex was a piece of cake to her before marriage. I was so committed to marrying her and making it right that I agreed to abstain until marriage with a few slips here and there. Those slips, he puts in quotes, were amazing, and I believed I had hit the jackpot. Jackpot. Okay, after marriage, I started seeing some signs I believe were red flags. Becoming avoidant of sex, having to drink alcohol to get loose, having every excuse in the book. Then after our first set of twins, twins. I don't see comments. Start commenting. Okay, here we go. And and then after our first set of twins, it was a wrap, he puts in all caps. All we argue about is sex. I am so tired of it. Sometimes she will allow me to rub on her naked without penetration and believes she is trying to do her part. The live didn't freeze. I'm just stuck right here. Okay. Can I repeat that? Yes, thankful for grace. I'm so happy that we have a man of God. How many men of God, women of God do we have on the line? I just need to, okay, let me go back. So after marriage, I started seeing some signs I believe were red flags. Becoming avoidant of sex, having to drink alcohol to get loose, he puts in quotes, having every excuse in the book. Then after our first set of twins, it was a wrap, he puts in all caps. All we argue about is sex. I am so tired of it. Sometimes she will allow me to rub on her naked without penetration and believes she is trying to do her part. She tells me that it has nothing to do with me. She tells me she loves me and believes I am gorgeous. Here is the thing. I know I am gorgeous. Okay. I just don't understand. I try to be romantic. I try to turn her on. Even on vacations, it is still a fight for sex. I am trying so hard with every ounce of my being not to cheat on her. I'd rather leave before hurting her in that way. I filed for divorce right before the pandemic and was wanting to hear your thoughts on my decision. Yeah. Guys, when I tell you I need your help, I'm going to repeat the question. I'm going to share some of your responses. I'll share my feedback. Is there any right or wrong answer? I can only provide feedback. Hey, Sandra, I see your comment. I'm going to share it. Lucinda, Nicole Gandy, First Lady, hello. All right, here we go. I'm going to repeat the question very quickly, and we're going to jump into this. Dear Ask Schellie, I feel so lost and not sure who to turn to. My family believes I have absolutely lost my brain for filing for divorce from the love of my life. On the outside, our lives look so good, but on the inside, it is not so pretty. This may sound pretty basic, but our sex lives are horrible. When I seek guidance from close friends and even from my church family, people generally respond like this. This is just a common problem for many marriages, as if I'm supposed to just accept going months without any type of sexual contact with my wife. I resort to masturbation to relieve myself, which compromises my spiritual beliefs, but I do this to keep myself from having sex with someone else. I wish I can say that this started after marriage, but it didn't. My wife has never been a sexual person. Abstaining from sex was a piece of cake to her before marriage. I was so committed to marrying her and making it right that I agreed to abstain until marriage with a few slips here and there. Those slips, he puts in quotes, were amazing, and I believe I hit the jackpot. After marriage, I started seeing some signs I believe were flags. Becoming avoidant of sex, having to drink before having to drink alcohol to get loose, having every excuse in the book. Then after our first set of twins, it was a wrap, he puts in all caps. All we argue about is sex. I am so tired of it. Sometimes she will allow me to rub on her naked without penetration and believes she is trying to do her part. She tells me that it has nothing to do with me. She tells me she loves me and believes I am gorgeous. Here is the thing. I know I am gorgeous. I just don't understand. I try to be romantic. I try to turn her on. Even on vacations, it's still a fight for sex. I am trying so hard with every ounce of my being not to cheat on her. I'd rather leave before hurting her in that way. I filed for divorce right before the pandemic and was wanting to hear your thoughts on my decision. All right. Okay. All right. Thankful for Grace on Instagram says, he is on the brink of adultery. Tough call. It is. This is why I need you guys to share your feedback. Let me come here on Facebook. Okay, what is my Facebook family saying? Sandra says, there is usually something underlying, whether medical, physical, or emotional. We're going to get there. Awesome comment. There are so many different things going on here, says Lucinda. Keep going. Share. And so Madam Nicole Gandy just puts these skeleton faces. Lucinda says, wow. Slips, first set of twins. Some women find pregnancy traumatic. Woo! That's a good one. But this is this thing, Sandra. It looks like she may have been having issues before that. Who knows? We don't know that, right? Because there's so much information that we don't have. And S. Nicole Gandy says this is a serious matter. Lucinda has question marks. Thankful for Grace, do her part. Really? Yeah, is that doing your part? Just laying there naked while your husband grinds on you? I mean, come on. Are we in high school here? This is not the closet, the coat closet at the Catholic school that you went to. Was that only me? Was that just me? Okay, anyway, so here we go. I'm not an attorney. Because the subject title when he emailed in was, do I have the right to leave? I think that's what he had said. And so I'm not an attorney, so I don't even know, is this grounds for divorce? If you are an attorney on here, if you know, is this considered an irreconcilable difference? Is that what they call it? I'm not an attorney, so I'm not even going to start to try to make sense of it. But if you are an attorney and you know, like, oh, you filed for divorce, sir. So what did your attorney tell you? I don't know. But if you know, if this is grounds for divorce, please share. Whether it is legally, is it spiritually for those of you who are kingdom believers? I don't know. I'm not an attorney, so I can only provide feedback from my expertise. And I want to say that if you are writing in to ask if you are, well, you're looking for validation regarding your decision, then already I'm saying that you may want to tap your brakes on this, right? Divorce is a permanent decision. And for it to possibly be a permanent decision based on a problem that is temporary and could be fixed, I would say to tap your brakes, because you're writing into this community and saying, what do you think about my decision? When I'm hell bent on a decision, I don't need that validation. I just don't, right? Especially me, because personally, I consult with my higher power before making those types of decisions. However, if you're writing in, I would say hold off, because clearly there's something there that's causing you to say, is this even right? And as soon as anybody contemplating divorce says, is this right? Am I going the right way? Don't go through with it. it. For any doubt, don't go through with it. If you can agree that you are emotional in that time space, don't go through with it. Emotions go up, emotions go down, emotions go left, emotions go right. You don't want to make a decision based on emotions. We have talked about the brain for so many lives. What happens when the emotional centers of the brain are activated? Our logic goes to sleep. So I'm not telling you what to do, but if you're still contemplating and still need feedback from people, if you're not sure, then just don't go through with it. Don't go through with it until you are absolutely certain. We have to stop making emotional decisions on situations that can be repaired, that can be fixed, right? That are temporary, who knows? Sandra says this requires therapy and discussion for both parties. Nicole says biblical is not grounds of divorce. So she says that there's no biblical ground for divorce as it relates to not having sex with your husband. Let's see here. Oh my gosh, Thankful for Grace on Instagram says, today almost everything is grounds for divorce. The word says that adultery is an acceptable ground for divorce. However, I would try to exhaust all possible ways to solve it. Okay. Elkin says here on Facebook, I just refuse to believe that God would want us to stay in a marriage when your partner refused to acknowledge that this is an important part of marriage. And it is. Charles Lucas says, I'm not an attorney. Divorce can be granted for reasons other than infidelity. Sometimes people grow apart. So here we go. Here we go. William Carter says, isn't sex important in a relationship? Not everything, but important. Absolutely, yes, it is, William Carter. It is, and this is why we're having this conversation. So my first response to this gentleman is, if you're writing in and you're saying, hey, what do you think about my decision? I don't know if that evidence is 100% certainty. I don't know how many men or women reference the love of their life as the spouse they are divorcing. Let me say that again. Is that me? I don't know how many men or women reference the spouse that they're leaving as their love of their life. This is what he called this woman. He called this woman the love of his life at the beginning of the question. Did you catch that? So my first response to that, without knowing so much, is listen, don't do it if you're not sure. There's a lot of unknowns here, and it's so difficult. This is why I say, listen, sometimes I get some questions in here, and I'm like, whoa, there's so much more that I need to know, right? So we don't know if she has a medical issue. We don't know if this woman has emotional, psychological issues. We don't know if she's been to the doctor. We don't know what the nature of their marriage is. He says that one of the only things they argue about is sex, so I'm assuming the other parts may be okay. So many unknowns. We don't know how he's communicating his needs, right? Which is a lot. That says a lot, because we don't know how you are communicating your needs. How are you trying to meet her need? We don't know that. We haven't touched on that. What we do know, however, is that his wife has a low self-sex drive, right? She has a low sex drive, She has a low sex drive. We know that this is causing him to masturbate, and that masturbation is causing issues in his spiritual walk. He considers it compromise. We know he's ready to walk out the door, right? These are the things that we know. Sandra says you need to find the root cause before you make such a final decision. Speaking as someone that divorced and remained the same and remarried the same person. Let me say that again. Woohoo! Sandra on Facebook says you need to find the root cause before you make such a final decision. Speaking as someone that divorced and remarried the same person. Lucinda says sex is blessed and ordained within the confines of marriage. So as stated before, there has to be physical, emotional issues going on here. So let's walk through this, guys. Let's walk through this. First and foremost, we have to make sure that there are no medical issues, right? Because when we are healthy, our body parts respond accordingly. Hello. When we are healthy, our body parts respond accordingly. And so when our body parts and our systems are not operating in the perfection for which God created it, we need to find the root cause of that. And so any great psychotherapist, for any situation that you come to her for or him for, will always ask if you have sought medical advice, right? Vitamin D deficiency looks like what? Depression. We need to know if your thyroid is operating correctly, because we could therapy your behind for years. And if it's a medical issue, you will continue to what? Feel the same. And so we want to make sure that we have ruled out all medical issues. Okay? Do we agree, consultation team? Are you with me? Are we all on the same page with that? Let's rule out medical issues. Okay? Now we need to rule out emotional issues. We're talking about wifey here. Before we even go into the marriage, let's talk about the wife. Are we looking at unresolved emotional issues? Are we looking at a manifestation of trauma? Are we looking at psychological issues, right? Are we looking at self-esteem issues? I think he mentioned his wife being beautiful, right? You can be gorgeous. You can have the waistline, the bust line, the butt line. But let me tell you, if your wife does not perceive her own beauty, it doesn't matter what you do, husband. It will be like pouring into a bucket with holes if your woman of God cannot perceive her own beauty, cannot perceive her own sexy, cannot perceive her value, her worth. And so we're looking, can this be an emotional issue? Can this be a self-esteem issue? So all of this falls within the spectrum of emotional issues, starting with minor emotional disturbances all the way to severe and persistent mental illness. And most of us fall somewhere in that spectrum. So if we rule out the medical and we rule out the emotional and psychological, then we need to take a look at the marriage. Let's look at the marriage, right? And we can't forget psychologically assessing this dude too, right? Can I get an amen? Can we psychologically assess him too? Just to make sure, right? That he's okay too. So when we look at needs in general, okay? I don't want to get into every step on the hierarchy. So I'm going to keep it very general for the purpose of time. We're already at 12:30. And so first we need to look at marital needs and how well we are meeting them. And before we even get to husband meeting the needs of the wife and wife meeting the needs of the husband, we're going to go very basic, and that is just life needs, like our need for water, our need for shelter, our need for financial security, right? Are you wanting sex from your wife every day, but you guys are sleeping in a hotel? Do you want sex from your wife every day, but you're not able to provide as a man, as the head of the household, right? Are you wanting sex from your wife every day and you guys don't know where you're going to be the next month? Do we have the constant stress that highlights immediate needs for living? Are those being met? Sometimes people will come in and they want therapy to address trauma or to address their thinking errors, right? They want to do all of these high order cognitive fixing, but you can't even, you're homeless. You're in a homeless shelter. There's a theorist by the name of Maslow. He has these hierarchy of needs, and he basically says, before we can start addressing those higher order needs and the higher up on the upper part of that hierarchy, are we meeting those very basic needs? So the need to live, the need for water, for shelter, for financial security, are those being met? The next level up, and there's many, so I'm just going to go in general. So let's move on to another need. So we talked about basic. Then there's the need for safety and security. And we're talking about that on an emotional level. Women, are you making your men feel like the king? Are you treating him like the king? Are you giving him honor? Men, are you giving your woman security? Are you helping her and causing her to feel like the queen? How much safety is there? Do we trust one another? Have there been issues in the past that has broken that trust? So we're talking about safety, security, trust. How is that in the marriage? Then when we take it another notch, we're talking about intimacy, companionship, conversations of care, how unified you guys are in thought and desire and vision, right? And in that also comes intimacy, which includes sex, right? How well are we flowing on that level? And then if we take it up another notch, we're talking about needs, marital needs. Is how married are we in purpose? How married are we in purpose? Over here, Thankful for Grace on Instagram says, yes, basic needs can have major implications. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so here now we're talking about more spiritual connection. So this is when you and your wife, sir, have identified world problems that your union answers. That's existential. Now we're talking about purpose. So when the love goes through all of the developmental stages that love go through, and it's not so lustful and it's not so physical, where love is not strong enough, purpose will rise up. That is you and I together. We answer this world problem, and we have to fight through these issues because our purpose is far greater than ourselves. That's another stage. Hello, Sandra. I love you. Thank you for joining in. Right? So we talked about basic needs. We talked about safety and security. What are one of those things that interfere with safety and security? Infidelity, if there's domestic violence, right? If there has been issues that create concerns for health and safety, right? And then now we talked about intimacy and really taking a look at that. And this is when a lot of the times I explore zones with couples, right? So let's say we talked about all these other things. We talked about communication. We talked about these needs. And we finally get to a place where we're now talking about the zones. The zones. I don't know how many times people just want to, because they hear about my prescription for maximizing orgasm, how to prolong orgasm, teaching about the difference between climax and orgasm, finding the erogenous zones of your loved one. Everybody wants to go straight there for counseling. Oh, they want to go straight there. But I never do. I never, ever do, because there are different zones when it comes to an intimacy. Cold zone, warm zone, then fire zone. We have to make sure that there is optimal functioning in these other zones to assure that you are experiencing the highest levels of satisfaction with your spouse. Okay, with your spouse. I just want to stress that, okay, for a reason. But you can catch me offline. And I'll explain why I always stress spouse, okay? So in cold zone, right? In cold zone, this is your day-to-day. Oh, man, you know what? I'm so bad at it. I wish I could share my screen. I wish I could. Can you guys still see me? I wish I could share my screen. These are things that I have to learn. So in cold zone, we're talking about open communication. How well do you guys communicate? How well do you guys resolve conflict? How mutual is your support for one another? Do you guys have routines that prioritize your relationship? Do you have routines that prioritize your relationship? Now, Facebook, can you still see me? I want to make sure that you can still see me because I'm looking at different screens with the information that I'm sharing. I just don't want to miss anything. Just let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Say yes, you can still see me. I just want to make sure I don't go off screen. Let me continue. So we're talking about cold zone, right? We're talking about cold zone. Everybody wants to know how to have a 10-minute orgasm, but you got to be able to understand the importance of these other zones, okay? We talked about open communication. How open are you? Can you tell your wife or husband everything, right? How intentional are we being about that communication? Effective conflict resolution. Some of us don't have that skill set. Resolving conflict is a skill. Resolving conflict is a skill. Putting your needs aside to prioritize the needs of somebody else is a skill. How do we support one another, right? How do we create routines and schedules that prioritize the relationship? Sometimes I look at people's schedules and I'm like, your schedule says exactly what it is you prioritize. And so many people will say, well, my priorities and my heart, what you're seeing in my heart that's not my heart. Well, I don't really care what your heart is because your schedule clearly shows what it is that matters in your life. It's as simple as that. So sometimes we kind of just go basic with things. Well, I know her heart. Well, you know what? God knows our heart too. And you know what? That is not enough. Because our actions, our decisions, and our behaviors have to reflect the conviction that we have to effectively serve Him. And so if you're not prioritizing your relationship, it doesn't matter where your heart lies. Assure that your heart and your calendar match. Make sure your heart and your calendar match. Okay, you said Facebook can still see you. Thank you. Woo! So I also look at the culture of laughter. How are you guys laughing? That's an aphrodisiac for me. You know, are you laughing? Are you guys making sure that you're learning new things and you're experiencing new things? Is your wife cooking the same old thing? He cooking the same old thing? Y'all watching the same old movies? Y'all go to the same places? No, we need new experiences. It is important. And while this may be indirect from what happens in the bed, it's actually quite direct. I need to know, how much new do you open your marriage to? Conversations of care is so important. Guys, we're still in cold zone. Conversations of care. When you're asking, how are you? How do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel in purpose? Are you feeling good about yourself? Are you proud of yourself? This is when husband and wives are having these really deep conversations of care, that we're not waiting for someone to have a nervous breakdown. We're not waiting for someone to fall into a state of depression and then you start asking those questions. Conversations of care. When do you have them? How often a week do you have those conversations of care? Quality time. Quality time. We talked about what's quality time. What's quality time? Quality time is three different contacts happening at one time. That is skin contact, verbal contact, eye contact, right? And so how often are you giving you and your spouse the opportunity to do all three together? No other demands, no other interruptions, okay? That's cold zone. Then we have to take a look at their warm zone. Warm zone is when we start talking about what we want sexually, right? When we start talking about what we want, we start talking about what you want to do to the other person, how you want to make them feel, those little warm conversations. We don't have any physical contact yet, which makes it even better. We're just talking about it, right? This is when you make sure that you have engaged every sense. The sense of sight, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, hearing, touch. And you're asking your partner, what does it for them, right? Now, after 20 years, do you have to ask your partner that? No, but you can talk about so many other things that are sexually charged. So open communication, more skin-eye verbal contacts. You're being very intentional about experiencing relaxation together, right? Sometimes we have people that just want to jump right into it. You can assign code words for the type of sex you want to have, right? You want a quickie, let's call it a piece of pineapple. You want a long, drawn out, all of the above type thing, let's call it chocolate. Give little names to what you're wanting in that moment so that you guys can compromise and find a middle ground. These are things in warm zone. You're developing these systems. So you're being intentional about mental and muscle relaxation. You guys are massaging one another. The music is on. This may not necessarily progress to sex, but this is where dating happens, where you're doing your one-on-one together. You guys are just catching up. Kids are not there. There's that, like I said, those contacts that we talked about. There's minimal environmental stimulation. You're sexting. You're taking pictures for one another. You're flirting with one another. There's not necessarily physical contact. This is warm zone. And then we get into hot zone. And this is where body scanning starts to happen, that you have your spouse and you guys are just loving on another, taking that feather, finding new erogenous zones, right? You're making sure that you're connecting with every inch on the person's body, right? You're having fun with it. You're making sure you're very clear about what your spouse likes to see that stimulates them sexually, what your spouse likes to smell, and you are sure that these things are going on and are presented to maximize the sexual experience. What my spouse wants to hear. Does she like romantic music? Does he like romantic music? Does he just want to hear our stomachs smacking? Whatever that is, like, make sure that all senses are stimulated and everyone is clear about what the other person wants, because you're only pleasing yourself if you don't know the needs of your partner. Let me say that again. You are only pleasing yourself if you do not know or do not prioritize the needs of your partner. So we're talking about cold zone, warm zone, hot zone. We do discovery sessions in therapy to really create a culture for that marriage. What happens in one marriage may not do it for you. You may say, oh my God, this married couple watches porn. That's completely wrong for us. Whatever that is for you, those comfort zones for you and your spouse, that culture for you and your spouse, whatever that is, you guys want to throw a little kink in that? Kink is not always like whips, chains, and burning candles. And you could be in missionary style and throw some kink in it, right? You can have missionary style and throw a dog collar on that thing and some handcuffs, and then we just change the whole scenario, right? So really making sure that we're diving into that, and we're making sure that the couples, they know each other. Husband knows, wife knows, you know, and there's no barriers, right? Wife is not afraid to say, this is what I want, and husband is not afraid to say, this is what I want. There's a comfort there. We can talk about it openly and really share. I think you can disagree. You can disagree. Ooh, I think there's a star in every woman. You can fill in the blank for which type of star. Okay? You could say super star. You can fill in the blank however you like. When we find a way to comfortably allow that side out, it's a wonderful thing. But it takes time. It takes intention. It takes going through those steps to really get to know one another, to assure that those other zones are being prioritized, getting help, getting marriage counseling, getting therapy, working with a third party that's not going to say, oh, it's okay, all marriages go through that. No. It's not acceptable for us to just accept that this is what it is. This can be fixed, sir. It can be fixed. It can be addressed with help, with looking at all the things that we talked about, medical, psychological, the marriage, the zones, and taking a look at how well you guys are flowing with one another. you guys can fix this. It doesn't sound to me like it's irreparable. It feels like it just takes some time, and it's going to take some effort and some prioritization. Caring. Let me talk about caring before we close. Caring is the process by which one person prioritizes the needs of someone that they love over and above their own, period. And that is prioritizing the mental, the physical, the spiritual, so the emotional, the physical, the spiritual needs of someone else. And wife, if you're thinking to yourself, I don't get it, like he wants it every day, he wants it, sometimes we just gotta, whether it makes sense for you or not, it's important to understand that process of caring. That process of caring is meeting the needs, the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual needs of the person that you love over and above your own. And God gives us this blueprint, because if the husband is doing it and the wife is doing it, the wife doesn't have to worry about meeting her own needs because her husband is doing it. And the husband doesn't have to worry about meeting his own needs because the wife is doing it. That is the process of caring. And what we're hearing in this question is that there is no care being provided to the sexual, the physical needs, and probably so much more under the spectrum of intimacy for this man. And it's not right. It is not right for any woman or any man to minimize the needs of our partners, whether it's sexual, whether it's spiritual, whether it's emotional. It's not right, because we have the obligation and the responsibility to do all that we can to meet the needs of the person that we love. And so for those, sir, who have minimized your issues, I'm sorry. As an ordained minister, I want to apologize for any church leader that told you that it's normal. No, it is not. We have to stop accepting abnormality as normal. God desires for husbands and wives to have amazing sex lives. Amazing sex lives. And for anyone to tell you that it's normal, while yes, it happens, there are sexless marriages all over. But guess what else is happening? Divorce. Hello? God gave us so many things, husbands and wives, to assure that they stay connected and they stay unified. And through that unification and through that harmony, that they are slaying giants together. So I say to this writer, doesn't sound like you're ready. I think you need to take some time, go through this checklist, get the help that you guys need. Reach out to Ask Schellie Consulting. You can email at info@askschellie.com. You can visit me at www.askschellie.com. You can call 407-350-5070. If I'm not the one for you, we'll find someone for you. But don't think that you need to go through this alone. There are experts out there who are anointed in helping marriages get over those things that are causing them to not experience the full satisfaction and bliss that God intends for his covenant sons and daughters that have decided to enter into a marriage with one another. So again, you can email me at info@askschellie.com. Listen, guys, if you find these lives to be helpful, go to my YouTube channel at Ask Schellie on www.youtube.com. Search Ask Schellie and subscribe. I would be humbled by your subscription. You can have full access to my videos, some of my webinars. We're still uploading workshops that I have done on various different topics. If you want to submit a question, please feel free to submit your questions to info@askschellie.com. Again, that's info@askschellie.com. You can send your questions there and I will highlight it on a weekly live, again, that I do every Tuesday at 12. For those of you who want a speaker for your next event, feel free to book me at www.askschellie.com. I thank you and love you guys. I love my consultation team. You make this so easy to provide feedback to our listeners. And so I'm lifting up this couple in prayer. I hope that he takes the feedback that you guys have presented. Let me see. And I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Ooh, boy. Ooh, Sandra says there could be things that he is asking that she is unwilling to do. That's a good one. So this is Sandra Leslie on Facebook. She says there could be also things that he is asking that she is unwilling to do. This is why it's important to have that open conversation about our limits, about the things that are allowable, our non-negotiables. You know what? We just need to explore more. You're going to be with this man till y'all transition. Explore, dare, be open-minded. You know, there's always new to learn, especially when it comes to the sex realm. There's always something else. There's always something more. It's abounding. So allow the process to happen. But you are right. If there's something that she's unwilling to do, let's talk about that unwillingness. Let's talk about what that is and make sure that we find a compromise, a middle ground. Lucinda says endometriosis, fibroids, severe physical pain. That goes back to that physical thing, right? And making sure that we are ruling out physical ailments. Lucinda says outside of stress, jobs and laws, finances, community obligation, other things, people, circumstances that affect the marriage intimacy, and it does. There are many, many factors that will interfere in our ability to be intimate. And there are ways to learn how to manage that stress and to manage how we're responding emotionally so that we can continue to serve our partners, right? To continue to be in unity with our partners, that we can continue to be involved in that process of caring. We have to get to a point. This is my last thing. Lucinda just triggered something in me. We have to get to a point where we don't trigger, let me rephrase. We have to get to a point where we don't always have to consult our limitations in order to make decisions about how we're going to live life. If we consult our limitations, our emotional pain, consult our trauma, consult our finances, consult our employment status, as long as we are consulting those limitations, those challenges, we will never experience total life prosperity. There has to get to a point that despite the pain, I can continue to be a good wife. Despite our finances, we can still explore new things together. We got to get to a point where we're not always consulting those challenges. Yes, it's difficult. I understand. But let's be proactive. Let's be proactive in dealing with and overcoming those things. We have the power and we have the authority. It drives me crazy, those who are always consulting their limitations to help them in making decisions and movements in their life. We will never get to where we want to go if we continue to consult those challenges and those limitations. So if it's medical, let's get over it. If it's emotional, let's kill it and let's get over it. It's financial, let's make better decisions. But we have the power to get over those things that keep us from experiencing the abundance and the prosperity that's readily available for everyone. Okay. Woo! I'm done here. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's Ask Schellie segment. This live will be posted for about a day or two, and then you can catch it on YouTube. Please share. Continue to comment. I love your feedback. Remember, the person who writes in will always go back and take a look at the live, and we'll take a look at your comments. So it's not only commenting on what I'm saying, but also providing feedback and providing words of encouragement to someone who has reached out to this community for help. Thank you again for tuning into this week's Ask Schellie segment. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Ask Schellie. Until next time, be great and dominate.